Right.
You ready?
Right.
All right. We're going to welcome our graduates, you all. All right. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. That's it. You all can be seated. My bad, Staples. My name is Howard Ramsey. Hey, it's so good to see you all. Some of you all, this is your first time on SIUE's campus. We want to welcome you. So glad to have you here. Some of you all were here. Boy, I was talking to somebody, Mom, just a second ago. I'm looking for. You were here just about 4 years ago, and you back already. So thank you for coming back. We want to thank various folks. We got several people and artists I'm not going to be able to acknowledge, but I'm going to just try to say a few. The interim vice chancellor for University Advancement, Sarah Colvin, is somewhere here. So good to see you. Thank you for being here. My dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Dean Leonard, I see you. Thanks for being here. The dean of engineering, where's Dean of Engineering? Hey, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And Dean Hughes is here. So thank you all for being here. This is our 16th Black graduation ceremony. I have to tell the story. I always tell the story. When I started here in 2003, I was very ambitious at the time. When I started 20 years ago. Damn. Anyway, didn't expect to be here this long, but I'm glad to be here. I started and a group of students asked me to have a Black graduation ceremony, and I was young at the time. And I thought I could do things. So I said, of course we can have a Black graduation. So I went and asked, and we couldn't have a Black graduation. So I asked every year, and I kept going back. And finally, 2016, because I got very smart, I took Patterson with me, Dr. Patterson, and that's when we started having Black graduation. So I'm very excited about it. So graduates, this is for you all. I will say really quickly, because we keep this thing moving. But something that was really touched me recently, I was talking to a group of students. I really just sitting as they were talking. And they talked about how hard it is, how challenging it can be to be Black students at SIUE. I never forget that, but it was good for me to hear them talk through that. It was good for me to hear their voices. I heard their voices. They mentioned how tough it was to be Black students at this institution. I say all of that to say, boy, I know you all have gone through a lot to get to this point. Right? You've gone through a lot to get to this point. We are very proud of you. We know it wasn't easy all the time, but you made it through. And our hats off to you for doing that. So much respect to you. Let's give them a hand. I didn't have $1 million, but Patterson and I did have a very special gift that we're going to give to you today. And it's coming through our speaker. We've said, Dad, we don't got a lot of money. We don't got a lot, but we can give them a speaker that'll make them feel like $1 million. Right? Maybe more. Sorry, it might be more than $1 million. Um, it's so much to say. The bio doesn't do him justice. Dominic Dorsey started here. He says, and he keeps trying to tell people 2018, but I feel like he's been here at least about 80 years. That's how it feels. His presence has been that much here. He's the director of Access, by the way. He works with students across the campus. I love this thing because he pushes this idea. He tries to move everybody at this university from the idea of limitations to one of accessibility. If you move around this campus and you feel like you have problems, at some point somebody's going to tell you, hey, go see Dorsey. Go see Dorsey. I was thinking about it, though, when I was looking at some of the things on his bio. He actually earned his PA degree from SIUE in 2009 and from Indiana University, master's in 2011. And he also got a certification in behavioral analysis in 2016 from the University of Cincinnati. A lot of these things you can find on his bio. But I said, I'm a researcher in African American literature, so I had to go back a little bit further because I really wanted you all to understand this person. So when he was in the second grade, Dorsey earned his BS detector degree. Miss Crabtree told the class that Columbus had discovered America, and all the other students started writing it down in a notebook. Dorsey raised his hand, said, that's BS. This started a long line of Dorsey calling out and detecting BS. In the third grade, his classmates came together and they voted. Dorsey was the most likely to speak out on white supremacy. This is when he was in the third grade. I ain't gonna read his entire elementary to you, but I will say one more that stands out to me. In the fifth grade, they were so confused about this guy in this school. So they brought a psychic in. And they said, we want you to tell us where the students are going to be years from now. And they said, well, we can't tell you everybody. She said, but there is this one young man. They said, I have a vision for him in 2023. He'll be the most likely person students will come to as a major supporter. Said he'll be the most likely person that they call on time and time again. And he will also be the most likely person to be the Black graduation speaker in 2023 at some place called SIUE. So glad they were right. Let's welcome our speaker.
Ramsey a fool. I don't know what to do. Well, good evening. Boy, y'all look like kept promises out here. I smell shea butter in the air. I love seeing my people. I promised Dr. P that I was going to get up here, and she said, Dominic, just don't curse. I'm going to try my best not to be controversial. I said I'm going to try my best. I ain't making no promises. So let me introduce myself the way that I typically introduce myself. I am Lord Dominic Dorsey. Now, that is very intentional. Everything that I do is intentional, even the mistakes that I make, because I believe in asking for forgiveness and not permission. But when I say I am Lord Dominic Dorsey, it is for a purpose. A, because I own land in Scotland. B, because I'm petty. And if I have to be introduced alongside vice chancellors and chancellors, I need a title that is just as, substantial. But even more intentional, there is a point in the line of lineage of my family where my ancestors had to call a white man master. You think I don't take a personal sense of pride when my white colleagues call me Lord? That's intentional. Yes, when you look at me, you might notice my mouth is flashing. I have candy in my mouth, tooth candy. There's gold teeth. It's subversive. It's intentional, right? It's to cause a discussion. Because people see a gold grill and they're like, oh, they must be uneducated, or they must not have money, or they must not know where that money is going. But if I told people that, did you know that gold adornment started in Mali? Did you know that freed African Americans would buy gold teeth to symbolize that they were free? And if I ain't nothing, I'm unbossed and a free black man. So I wear my gold teeth everywhere. All of this is intentional. And I use my lineage, I use the backstory, I use the ancestors who give me wisdom because I'm actively living the legacy. Somebody say, living the legacy. I ain't got a book to come to you from, but this is going to be my sermon for today. Amen. Because I swear I felt like a guest pastor with my legs crossed, listening to him read my bio. Whenever you hear that word legacy, typically they're talking about what you're leaving behind to somebody else, right? It's estate planning. It's how much money you're making. It's how you make sure that your kids are taken care of after you're gone. But you were left a legacy before you were ever born. I talked about enslaved Africans, but the legacy that you have started before they ever got to these shores. There's a tattoo on my arm of the way that enslaved Africans were packed into the ships, naked and head to foot, on top of each other in the most uncomfortable positions. Some of them were pregnant. Some of them were injured. And the ones who could not make the trip, they threw overboard. So the ones who made it here were the strongest of the strong. That is your legacy. When you talk about those who had to work on the plantation of under the yoke of the oppressor, they were whipped and beaten if their bags were not heavy enough. They were whipped and beaten if they attempted to learn to read. Yet they persevered. Some bought their freedom, some bought their land. Most of them are your ancestors. And they dreamed of a day where their children and their children's children would not have to serve under the same yoke that they did. They prayed for you before you were born, before you even thought of. You are their legacy. There are men and women and individuals and grandparents and aunties and uncles and friends and family who are in the audience behind you, who prayed over you, who covered you every single night, just saying, I hope that my baby is okay. And most of all, I hope they get that degree. You are their legacy. They worked long nights. They put money away. They made sure that you had Jordans and they were wearing Payless, right? You are their legacy. So when you think about legacy, don't just think about what you have to do and what you have to leave for somebody else. Think about the responsibility and the legacy that has been left to you, because you're standing on the shoulders of giants. Not just the individuals that I named. Think about all of the individuals who were just as subversive, who were just as big dissenters. You think about the civil rights movement. You think about the Black authors. You think about the Black innovators. You think about the Black illustrators, the Black orators. That is in your lineage. That is in your bloodline. That is what you carry with you. So everything that Ramsey said is right. Being a Black student at a predominantly white institution is not an easy thing to traverse. Because I'm sure that I'm not speaking out of turn when I said that, anytime something Black comes up in the classroom and they looking for somebody to signify, they looking right at you. Or somebody saying, oh my God, I saw Roots. I saw Fruitvale Station. I had no idea, right? So you become the ambassador for the Black experience for those who are uneducated or uninitiated. The battle fatigue, the racial fatigue that you endured, right? That's because what is in you brought you to this stage. You have embedded in you, in your DNA, woven into the very fabric of your identity, everything that you need to overcome the obstacles that are in front of you and everything that you had to overcome the obstacles that are now behind you. So that's the legacy that was left to you. What about the legacy that you leave behind? Again, we are living the legacy. Somebody say living the legacy. You are actively writing the story of the novel that will be the greatest story ever told. Every activity that you engage in, every decision that you make, you're going to create a legacy that is going to shake the world. Unquestionably. And this degree that you get is just one more step in another succession of successes and triumphs in your life. Can I pop my stuff for a minute? Okay. I'm gonna act like we're not in mixed company, so, forgive me. But there are people who encounter obstacles. There are people who encounter trials, right? I've lived paycheck to pawn shop before. I've been in positions where I wasn't paid what I was worth. And a lot of the hard times in my life came from trying to be integrated into a burning house, which only left me coming out singed. We know that you are uniquely and divinely created to stand out and not blend in. If there's nothing else that people will tell you about me, not only am I put on this earth to be a BS detector, I will own that. Not only do I get added to committees and conversations to be the one that says the thing that everybody else is thinking but won't say, but I'm also, above all things, authentic. I encourage you to remain authentic. And when I say authentic, it means that you may go into this next phase of your life thinking that there's somebody that you're supposed to be. Know that everybody fails at being who they're supposed to be, but recognize there's wisdom in being who you are. And when I say who you are, that means when you walk into a room, you weren't hired to be like everybody else. You were hired because you bring something to the table that nobody else brings. So don't feel like you have to put down your blackness at the door when you enter in a room to be professional. Don't feel like you have to code switch to be accepted. Don't feel like you have to augment your hair, your speech, your dress. You are who you are, and you are excellence personified. Never put that down and never leave that behind. As you're continuing to write this novel of excellence and your legacy, something else that I want you to remember. Wisdom chases us. Don't be too fast. Take the time. You said, say it again. I said, wisdom chases us. Don't be too fast. There are lessons that you will learn in your life that you will miss if you do not stop and pay attention. There is wisdom from the ancestors that you are getting daily that you may miss and you may ignore if you do not stop and pay attention. Some may call it read the tea leaves. Some may call it just like, word on the street. Pay attention to your surroundings. Incorporate everything that you are learning. The words that people are giving you, the things that you're seeing, you may call it deja vu, whatever you call it. It's for a purpose. Pick up what's being put down and don't let it leave you behind. Last but not least, and I mean this when I say this, if you don't do anything else, when you leave this institution, remember that there's something magical about the Black community and being in community with Blackness. Because this is a predominantly white institution. When you go out to the workforce, there's a lot of other spaces that you're going that's predominantly white. Find your tribe, find your community, build solidarity with them. Because for years, for decades, they have tried to convince Black folks that we need to be away from each other, apart from one another. They have conspired to keep us from coalescing. There's an old African adage that says, with over 1,000 spiders, they can tie up a lion. There is power in the webs that we create, the networks that we've developed. I know that I would not be able to attain half of whatever measure of success I have at this institution if it were not for people like Dean Hughes, if it were not like people, Dr. P, if it were not like people like Howard Ramsey, if it weren't for people like Dr. Hall, if it wasn't for people like Dr. Snipes. I can name everybody in this room. There's a network of people that we depend upon, and we build upon each other's brilliance. So before you work alone and let people gentrify your genius, get with some other folks that's going to embellish and embolden you in your expertise. Amen? All right, now I ain't going to be up here too long. But I'm going to leave you with these thoughts. Live your legacy. Right? We're living the legacy. Wisdom chases us. Don't be too fast. Be authentic in all spaces and places, right, Sister Kelly? And never forget, one of the things that makes you so special, so beautiful, and so brilliant is the thing that nobody can ignore, and that is your Blackness. Congratulations.
Boy, that darn Dorsey. That's what I say in the spaces like this. Dean Carrick, I thank you for understanding. I got you. I see you. Thank you. My colleagues, faculty, and staff are here on this side, and I also have faculty and staff colleagues on this side. Thank you all so much. We're going to have the good sister, Reverend Minister Choir Director, runs the whole thing in SOAR. Somebody mama, somebody auntie, okay, all right. Dr. Earlene Patterson is the Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Opportunities, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And then we're going to have the homegirl, Dr. Hall. She's going to get us, we're going to have my colleague, Professor Dr. Hall, get us in line here with the graduate students.
But that Lord Dorsey. So did you all get all of that? Because that was a whole class. That was an entire class. You are a living legacy. Wisdom chases us. Don't run too fast. Oh my God. Okay, let's get this party started. Congratulations, graduates. You did that. Bachelor's of Science in Criminal Justice, Shay Cole. Bachelor's of Science, Biological Sciences, Ariana Crosby. Bachelor's of Science, Nursing, Deja Foster. Bachelor's of Science, Nursing, Janiyah Griffin. Bachelor's of Science, Integrative Studies, Nina Harris. Bachelor's of Science, Mass Communication, Dakari Harris. Bachelor's of Science, Sociology major, Aaron Hayes. Bachelor's of Science, Mass Communication, Jada Jones. Bachelor's of Science, Business Administration, George Laxington II. Bachelor's of Science, Nursing major, Faith McDonald. Bachelor's of Science, Nursing major, Kyla Mumford. Bachelor's of Science, Nursing major, Jayla Newton. Bachelor's of Science, Electrical Engineering, Ninji Nekwenteje. Bachelor's of Science, Nursing major, Wala Okusanya. Bachelor's of Science, Business major, Jordan Perkins. Bachelor's of Science, Criminal Justice Studies, Abina Pokua. Bachelor's of Science, Biological Science major, Deja Robinson. Bachelor's of Science, Psychology major, Dynasty Rocket. Bachelor's of Science, Sociology major, Elijah Smith. Bachelor's of Science, Integrative Studies, Epiphany Smith. Bachelor's of Science, Criminal Justice Studies, Ariel Stallworth. Bachelor's of Science, History major, Kennedy Streeter. Bachelor's Science, Business Administration, Laurel White. Bachelor's of Science, Nursing major, Daria Wills. Bachelor of Science, Psychology major, Marvin Wills Jr. Bachelor's of Science, Public Health, Carrington Winters. Bachelor's of Science, Business Administration, Ashanti Young. Bachelor's of Science, Accounting major, Jaleel Moore. And that concludes our graduates with undergraduate credentials, and we will now be acknowledging our master's degree candidates. Master's of Science, Computer Management, Ovashe Paul Amune. Master's of Science, Biological Science, Ibrahim Bello. Masters of Science, Kinesiology, Florian Henry. Masters of Science, Electrical and Computer Engineering, Inawa Olanare.
Every year, boy, Patterson will say that. Well, first of all, good job, Patterson, girl. Sorry, Patterson, good job. Patterson, my boss, and I'm saying girl over here. Congratulations, graduates. Every year, Patterson will try to get me, because she'll say those names, and boy, she'll get to a name and she'll pause on that name, because she and I will sit in a room in her office, and we would have some of these students in here, and they would walk in the office and they would tell us, well, something ain't going to work and I'm not going to graduate. And they always make a mistake, because they'll say that to me, and the mistake they make is I'll say, well, let's go in Patterson office and talk to her about it. Talk with her about it as well. And I already know you can't go into her office and say you're not going to graduate. Girl, we got you out of here. We are very proud of you. We are very proud of you. Anyway, graduates, I want to thank you all. You have done so much for us, but look, they make me get on the mic and ask you all for something. So, I am going to ask you for a little bit. And one of those things I asked the hard, it ain't hard. I'm going to ask this one first. Not next week, But a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, when that job and that money kick in, you're going to get a call from SIUE. You know you are. From the donors. They're going to ask you to be a donor. The Alumni Association is going to contact you. You know, like, I know you still mad about that parking ticket, but do me a favor. Okay, or the 5 or whatever. Look, answer the call. That's all. Just hear him out. All right. And we've gotten smarter these days. We even get the first year students to get on the call and call. So just answer the call. That's all I'm asking. The other thing I'm going to ask you all is that you send us your good ideas. It's things we've done and we could have done better. And boy, we are here and we benefit when you all say, this is one way you could have made this place better. You all know where to find Dr. Patterson. You know me. I'm always in these streets, so you can get at me anytime, and I really mean that. When you all have ideas, let us know. And the last one, I asked for it, but I think you're going to do it anyway, and this is what Dorsey talked about, like just going out there and being you, because I was thinking about it. We have a graduate today, homegirl. I feel like she just showed up, and then she somehow, her and her mom sent us her younger sister. All right. So I know some of you all got a younger sister or brother or a neighbor. And I'm not even asking you to go out there and I'm not trying to make you recruit. Just go out and be you. And I know they're going to come here because they're going to try to be just like you. All right. So I appreciate that. And lastly, on appreciation board, we don't make this thing happen. They just let me get on the microphone and say a little bit. But I wanted to thank our speaker again, Dorsey. I wanted to thank Ashley Jones and all of the Hub staff for getting the programs and everything together. There's a little code on the back, a QR code, and you can see bios on all the graduates if you use your phone to do that. And so you can do that. Hey, that's all we have. I think my man Ash wants to see the graduates. Don't go hang out with your family yet, graduates. We do want you to up here. Okay. Oh, and we have food downstairs. So we have reception. So you all can go there. Graduates, we want to just get a quick shot with you all here, and then you're free to go. Thank you all for coming. Congratulations.